If you don't know what rub and buff is or you've never rub and buffed before, this video is about to change your life. We are going to tackle two little projects that I've been procrastinating on today, a pomegranate and a much trickier hedgehog. I'm going to show you my process for rub and buffing. Rub and buff is a ridiculously easy way to give your pieces a totally new look and transform basically anything. And it's really easy to do. There's almost no wrong way to do it. The hardest part is probably going to be choosing your color. Let's get started. The first thing you want to do is spray your piece with a dark or gold paint. This functions as sort of a primer and helps the rub and buff show up and stay put. It can also act as a bit of a grace layer if you miss a spot, or help you get a worn vintage look depending on your technique. Some of you might be asking, why not just spray it all gold and call it a day? Because 70% of the time, spray paint looks cheap and noticeable. In my opinion, rub and buff has a much more authentic finish. It also lasts a ridiculously long time. My personal collection includes Grecian gold, gold leaf, and antique gold. I've had them for years, use them constantly, and I still have not run out. For the pomegranate, I want it to look like this flower, so very full coverage, and I'm going to go with gold leaf. You do not need that much. That was a mistake. Another good thing about rub and buff is a little bit goes a long way. This is the technique I use most of the time, just getting in there with my hands and literally rubbing and buffing. Hence the name. Don't ask me why I didn't put on 2 gloves. I have no idea. And yes, one hand got very messy. When working with texture, you might need to utilize some tools. And like I said earlier, there's almost no wrong way to work with rub and buff. Whatever you think will get the job done and look how you want it to look is the right way to do it. Today, that means an old toothbrush. It's going to be the perfect thing to get into all those grooves, underneath those leaves, and around all those odd shapes. This hedgehog is the trickiest thing I've rub and buffed. The dragons are probably a close second, but I'm just going to go in with that toothbrush and see what it looks like. I'm going to use Grecian gold on him. That is my absolute favorite rub and buff color. Maybe if I was using an adult toothbrush with longer bristles, I'd get a little more coverage, but I'm okay with this look. I want him to look like an aged antique, and I want his details to show, so that dark coming through will actually work in our favor. We did have an incident post-spray paint. You can see one of his quills is a little broken, but I'll touch that up by hand when we're done. I'm going to keep working on him a little bit, but I think this is pretty close to the finished look. Speaking of finished looks, here is our pomegranate. I'm not 100% thrilled with it, but I do think it turned out pretty good. I'll probably add another lighter gold like you see in that flower there. I think that's why I'm not like totally in love. I do think I am in love with the hedgehog, however, so I want to take you back to the thrift store where we first met, and you can see what he looked like and what he looks like now. I think I just have a thing for gold, whimsical animals because he is so like enchanting and so cute, and I love him so much. I can't totally decide if he's going to be like a paperweight or a bookend or what, but either way, I love him. If you enjoyed this little thrift flip, feel free to give me a follow here and subscribe to my site for even more thrifted and vintage home inspiration.